She was once the woman behind golf's golden boy, Tiger Woods. Elin Nordegren was silent, graceful, and always just out of reach. But after she experienced one of the most public betrayals in sports history, she suddenly disappeared from the public's eye. But what exactly happened to Elin Nordegren? And was she destroyed by the public betrayal? Well, it turns out that Elin quietly resurfaced somewhere no one expected, and she's currently living a life that would leave you absolutely stunned. You may have heard the headlines, but the real truth about her divorce from Tiger Woods never made it to the front page. And when you see how she's currently living, you'll be surprised. The fairy tale beginning. Before she became one of the most talked about women in sports media history, Elin Nordegren lived a quiet, disciplined life in Stockholm, Sweden. A world away from the relentless spotlight that would later consume her. Born on January 1st, 1980, Elin was raised in an educated and politically engaged family. Her mother, Barbara Hallberg, was a respected politician and eventually served as Sweden's Minister for Migration and Asylum Policy, while her father, Thomas Nordegren, was a well-known radio journalist and foreign correspondent who often traveled for work. From a young age, Elin was surrounded by serious-minded, driven individuals who valued privacy, intellect, and hard work. Elin's family was stable, grounded, and relatively shielded from public curiosity. In fact, right from her youth, Elin wasn't drawn to fame or attention. She studied diligently, held part-time jobs, and occasionally modeled to help support herself financially. Despite some photos early in her life for some Swedish magazines, Elin actually never pursued modeling as a full-time career. Her move to the United States happened by chance and practicality. After completing high school, she worked in a clothing store, which is where she first met Mia Parnevik, wife of Swedish pro golfer Jasper Parnevik. Impressed by Elin's demeanor and trustworthiness, Mia offered her a job as a nanny for their children. Elin accepted and moved to the United States, where she lived with the Parniks in Florida. Jesper Parnevik, being deeply embedded in the world of professional golf, often attended professional golf events and socialized with fellow players. Through this close-knit circle, Elin was gradually introduced to American sports celebrities, and one of them was Tiger Woods, who was at the absolute peak of his career at the time. With multiple major titles under his belt and a billion-dollar brand emerging around his name, Tiger was a global phenomenon. But when he first noticed Elin, he wasn't the only one interested. According to interviews and reports from the time, several golfers were eager to meet her. But it was Tiger who made the lasting impression. Initially, Elin had no interest in dating him. Jesper Parnik later admitted in interviews that she had a firm stance on avoiding the celebrity chaos that surrounded top-tier athletes. Her quiet, low-profile life had not prepared her for a relationship with someone constantly under the scrutiny of paparazzi and tabloids. It reportedly took several months and a few persistent attempts by Tiger before she agreed to go on a date. But what followed was a whirlwind romance that began with quiet dinners and private getaways, but soon ballooned into one of the most public relationships in the world of sports. In 2003, the couple got engaged during a trip to South Africa where Tiger was competing in a tournament. The proposal took place at the ultra-luxurious Chamori Game Reserve, known for its secluded beauty and wildlife safaris. Less than a year later, in October 2004, they married on the Caribbean island of Barbados. The wedding took place at the opulent Sandy Lane Resort, one of the most expensive and exclusive venues in the world. The ceremony was everything you'd expect from a golf icon and his bride. Grand yet extremely private. The guest list included high-profile celebrities and sports royalty. Dozens of security guards were reportedly stationed across the property to keep media and onlookers away. The event was a symbol of status, wealth, and exclusivity, but it was also a reminder of how different Elin's life had become. In the years that followed, the couple retreated to a massive mansion in Windermere, Florida. The estate was complete with everything from private docks to advanced security systems. Elin kept a very low profile despite being one half of what many considered the golden couple. She rarely gave interviews or made appearances, while Tiger, on the other hand, was as visible as ever, winning tournaments, appearing in commercials, and expanding his global empire. In 2007, the couple welcomed their first child, a daughter named Sam Alexis Woods. Elin gave birth the day after Tiger finished second in the U.S. Open, rushing back to be by her side. In 2009, their son Charlie Axel Woods was born. Publicly, they were a picture of a modern, successful family. Two beautiful children, a powerful father at the top of his game, and a devoted mother who chose home life over celebrity exposure. For many years, there were no visible signs of trouble. They vacationed in the Bahamas, attended select events, and carefully managed their public image. Elin, despite being one of the most sought-after figures by entertainment outlets, continued to avoid the spotlight entirely. She rarely spoke to the press and never cashed in on her status. In fact, she was known for actively turning down interview requests, even when offered significant compensation. Behind closed doors, however, Elin reportedly struggled with the pressure that came from being the wife of a living sports legend. She was described as someone who missed the anonymity of her earlier life, shopping in peace, going for walks unnoticed, and enjoying conversations without cameras nearby. Life in the shadow of Tiger Woods' fame meant that every detail, even the most mundane, could potentially make headlines. The couple's home life was intentionally guarded. Even their wedding photos remained private. There were no reality shows, no interviews, and no social media posts. Elin's public silence became part of her identity, and it only fueled further curiosity. She became the mystery behind the icon, and a woman everyone saw, but no one really knew. Yet, the intensity of that life began to wear thin. As Tiger's fame grew and the media machine became more invasive, the challenges of preserving privacy multiplied. For someone who had never sought the public eye to begin with, the experience of being thrust into one of the most scrutinized marriages in the world was jarring. Still, at this point in time, nothing had publicly cracked. The world saw a loving father, a devoted mother, and a life that seemed tailor-made for fairy tales. That's why when everything fell apart, it wasn't just a scandal. It was absolutely shocking. The cracks beneath the surface. From the outside, Tiger Woods was the man who could do no wrong. By the late 2000s, he had already cemented his place as one of the most dominant athletes in history. He was not only breaking records, but rewriting the entire framework of professional golf. Major endorsements, luxury lifestyle partnerships, and billion-dollar brand associations followed him wherever he went. His face was synonymous with discipline, focus, and relentless excellence. But as the pressure to maintain that image grew, cracks began to form beneath the glossy surface. By 2008, Tiger was in a different league not just as a golfer but as a brand. Everything about him was calculated to maintain a flawless image. He was a global ambassador for Nike, a staple in Gillette commercials, and the face of countless other major companies. However, that level of success came at a cost. Behind the scenes, people close to the golf world had begun to notice changes and subtle signs that something was off. There were whispers about his erratic schedule, about strange excuses for solo trips, and about a growing emotional distance between him and Elin, as well as the visible signal that the aura of invincibility that had once surrounded Tiger was beginning to fade. There were also physical strains. Tiger underwent multiple knee surgeries, including a major one in 2008 after winning the U.S. Open on what he later revealed was a broken leg. The pain was excruciating and his ability to play at peak level depended heavily on medication. Reports would later suggest that Tiger became reliant on painkillers which compounded his stress and disrupted his sleep cycle. He was rumored to suffer from chronic insomnia leading to long nights filled with restlessness and isolation. The balance between personal well-being and public expectation was unraveling in slow motion. In hindsight, many now believe that Tiger's internal battles, which included emotional exhaustion, physical pain, and the suffocating weight of perfection, created the perfect environment for reckless choices that were symptoms of a life lived under relentless pressure. Woods found himself living with a kind of pressure that can blur judgment, distort priorities, and convince even the most disciplined individuals that secrecy is the only way to survive. But the breaking point for Woods came in the early hours of November 27, 2009 during Thanksgiving weekend while the Woods family was at their Windermere home in Florida. What exactly happened that night remains a matter of conflicting accounts and speculation, but the outcome was impossible to ignore. At approximately 2:30 a.m., Tiger crashed his Cadillac Escalade into a fire hydrant and a tree just a few feet from his driveway. Initial reports painted it as a minor accident, but the details quickly spiraled into something much more complicated. According to multiple sources, earlier that night, Elin had confronted Tiger over suspicious text messages she found on his phone. The messages were allegedly between Tiger and another woman, one of the several women he was later linked to. What followed, according to law enforcement and reports at the time, was a heated argument. Elin may have demanded answers and Tiger may have tried to deflect. But in the chaos that followed, it was rumored that Elin grabbed a golf club not to attack him, but to smash the back window of the SUV as he tried to drive away. When neighbors came outside after hearing the crash, they found Tiger unconscious on the ground and his wife standing over him. Emergency responders arrived and took him to a nearby hospital. The initial police statement was vague and avoided anything that might have hinted at domestic conflict. But the tabloids, already chasing rumors of infidelity, dug deeper, and what they uncovered sent shockwaves through the sports world. In the days that followed, women began to come forward. One after another, the names of various waitresses, nightclub workers, and women from various cities who claimed to have had affairs with Tiger during his marriage emerged. The number kept growing. Some provided voicemails and text messages as proof. Others sold their stories to tabloids. It became a full-scale media crisis. Every detail, no matter how small or unverified, was dissected and broadcast around the world. The backlash was pretty devastating for Woods. Corporate sponsors began distancing themselves. Accenture was the first to drop Tiger entirely, ending a 6-year sponsorship. Gillette scaled back his role in their campaigns. Even Gatorade, which had launched a custom Tiger-focused drink, pulled the product quietly from shelves. The man who once embodied discipline and trust was now seen as a walking PR disaster. The fallout wasn't just about